the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, which, of course, you can find at KUAPDB.com. All the good stuff is there. Come check it out. Come hit play. You can listen live right on the website, of course, troubledminds.org. And, of course, we're also live on terrestrial radio. That's going to be 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we usually do, except it's different. It's different. Wait, stream isn't starting in Discord. Okay. Let me know if we got technical issues, because sometimes these things do happen. But tonight's a little different because tonight is the summer solstice. It is the longest day of the year in the Western Hemisphere. Now, what does that mean? It means summer begins today. It means every day after this, after the turning itself, this becomes shorter and shorter days marching inexorably on to, of course, the winter solstice, where the cycle turns once again, which we'll talk about when we get there. But in this particular instance, now, not just the big festivals at Stonehenge, but everything else that goes back literally thousands of years. Why is everything so like super high and blown out? Anybody recognize or notice that it's just too loud? And let me know. I have everything turned down to like 20% for some reason. But anyway, okay. So going back thousands of years, this has been one of those turning spaces that we cannot ignore. The festivals, entire civilizations have been built around this one moment. Of course, the other, as I described, not just the equinoxes, but the solstices themselves are really the basis of that great cycle, the cycle itself of the sun and the moon and all the rest of these things, right? Of course, the solar cycle being the main one here. But the wild part is that, like I said, when we're moving into this space, this idea of disclosure, okay, we're calling this not just the summer of saucers and the disclosure space itself, which we always talk about every single year in that term of the summer of saucers. it turns into, that sounds good in Discord, thank you. It turns into this other larger space because we have so many convergence events happening. And that's what this is about. We're calling this, of course, the Trickster's Summer, because not only did we start with, if you remember, we had the actual aliens.gov portal. Remember that? It started as a trickster event because it was more of a troll, more of the space of people, the government, and of course the current administration, really trolling the fact that, we're interested in aliens, true aliens, not, the grotesque version of the aliens.gov that they put out there, the illegal aliens, right, as he deems them. Okay. And so it started with the trickster space, but then of course we have this one thing after the next, and it brings it into one release of UFO files and a second release and then a third release that really should have been a week earlier, but that they kind of spaced it out so it fit with Disclosure Day of Steven Spielberg, right? Again, the architect of modern disclosure, at least in the mind's eye of pop culture. Now, this is all leading to this moment, okay? And this moment right now is the summer solstice. It is the turning of not just, let's say, the moment, but also the turning of the ritual itself. This is the peak. Now, not only that, remember, we have the 250th 4th of July coming, which is the ultimate ID4 Independence Day, also an alien-themed movie, an alien-theme idea. And then, not only that, we have the World Cup in full swing. We had the Coyotes in the NBA Finals with Wemby the Alien. Shout out to Eric the Night Stalker on that one. We had the Knights, the Golden Knights. We've talked about this ad nauseum for about a month now, several weeks at least, because I'm telling you, these convergence events are impossible to ignore. Now, in this particular space, I'm looking at this. I'm calling this From Sun Gods to Star Visitors, and it's an easy transition in my mind. New gods of the old sun. Now, why? Well, because, of course, we're redefining all of these things as we go, as the turning of the age really progresses. We've got the age of AI, which is popping like crazy, new releases every day. Anthropic saying things like, you need a gun license to, run the latest Mythos, whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so restarted once already. Okay, we having problems on Discord? What's up? Everybody's kind of leaving and coming back. Let me know. Herschel says it sounds great on Discord. Let me know, everybody else there. Anyway, okay, so this is the deal, right? And we're in this moment now where the disclosure event is in the mind's eye of many, many, many people. And look, some people don't take it seriously, and that's totally fine by me. I don't know what to think, to be honest, other than it's certainly a trickster event in terms of the mind's eye, where we came from, where this is headed with the information coming through. And then these sort of drip releases, as they always say, of disclosure, when, like, to me, it's too little. It's way too little here. If we're talking government disclosure at this rate, sometime in the year 2500, we'll probably get all the information that came from the governments regarding UFOs, which is ridiculous. It's just way too slow. Anyway, so what do you know about the idea of not just, let's say, a ritual binding in the mind space of disclosure here? And beyond that, what the hell is going on with not just the idea of these sentient plasmas that we talked about recently that David Grush disclosed, but also, and I'll bring this up because I didn't bring this up other than on X just recently, but check this out. This is from Popular Mechanics, and it says this: these mysterious blobs may be conscious, and they exist all around you. And in this particular case, as I like to describe them, the primordial nature spirit has entered the chat, as I put on X. Now, this is super interesting for a lot of reasons. Does it come to the level of sentient plasma? I don't know. But when we start to redefine the way we look at not just life or the containers of life or the containers of consciousness itself, suddenly everything starts to reframe. Okay. And so the reframing of disclosure itself is a ritual reframing of how we see existence, of how we see our own life, how we see our own consciousness, and what that means. And that's what this is all about. That's the entirety of the show tonight. And everybody dipping on Discord. Is Discord not working? Oh boy. Okay. Anyway, so that's where we start, right? There's a lot in play here, but of course we're talking about the ritual binding of disclosure. and the turning of that age of Aquarius, which is going to be some momentous occasion sometime soon, we're told, or maybe it's already happened, or maybe it's going to happen in, a couple 100 years or something. Nobody really knows, as I like to say, because it's really true. But it's an age of wisdom, an age of actual seeing things like we've never seen them before. So what does that all mean? And do you feel different during the solstice? Let me tell you what, there's some energy peaking. I can tell you that. And I don't know how to feel about it other than I'll just do my best in the moment. Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, we are taking your calls at 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Are we having Discord issues? It's not working? Yeah, only Herschel's working. I don't know. Everybody's jumping in and out, restarting Discord and everything. Okay, anyway, we're going to get a quick break and a word from our sponsor. In this case, it will be the Stoic Minute. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in just one moment. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, sorry about the technical issues if they're happening. I don't really know exactly what's up, but please on Discord, let me know if you guys are having problems there, because then we'll pivot and do something else. Yeah, maybe it's the opening of the third eye. What's up, Bonnie's? Maybe, exactly right. Or let's say the collective third eye. What would that look like? Yeah, be right back. More Troubled Minds in just one moment. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Okay, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Apparently, we're having massive issues on Discord, so there's no audio coming through at all. Herschel said it sounds fine, but everybody else seems to not be fine. What the hell's going on over there? Hold on. Let me try a real quick trick here. One moment, please. Let's see if this actually fixes anything. It may not, but okay, I reset the actual voice and speaker. Test 1, 2 on Discord. Are we working? Hello. Good evening. YouTube is magnifique, says Ioxy. Thank you. Okay, look, now here's the thing, right? As I was describing, this is weird because the summer solstice is one of those spaces where it's just this thriving of energy. Because, of course, when we talk about the seen and the unseen realms of Amun and Ra being the radiant sun, this is the moment. This is the peak, that pinnacle of that energy flowing through the Western Hemisphere. There you go. This is your opportunity to learn kick. So are we not working on Discord still? The reset didn't fix anything. That's super awesome. All right. Yes, indeed. Okay. Apparently, though, all the streams are working. And so, yeah, your opportunity to learn kick, says Herschel. Okay, but it got me thinking about a lot of things in terms of not just the summer solstice. Last year, I had some really weird dreams around this time, but it didn't happen this time. Okay. So I don't know. As usual, you kind of can't really determine what energy you get from the universe or from the cosmos. It just sort of does its thing, right? It becomes what it becomes. And you are really one of the conduits of its energy. And in this space, I haven't had any weird dreams at all recently. So I'm not sure what the hell's going on. Discord, X, and all are messing up on me. Going to try to restart again. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, so is everything broken? Because if everything's broken, then we'll can this and try another time. Because, yeah, Stomp the Gremlins. Look, everything seems to be working over here fine for me. So I don't understand why it's broken. And help me out with what's broken, and we can kind of go from there. Yeah, yes. Okay, what's up? Good morning. I see everybody. Okay, all right. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be an abort session, and we come back tomorrow or what, or on Tuesday. But let's give it a second here and see. Any feedback on Discord? Is it still broken? Is Discord still busted? Yeah. Yes, maybe. Anyway, okay, all right. Anyway, all right. Gonna just read from the write up here because this is really good. Actually, I'll make the short case. The short case is good here. So the solstice has always marked a hinge, sort of this hinge event, as I've been describing it tonight. The sun reaches its farthest point and appears to pause before turning back, before the days become shorter, the longest day of the year. And of course, ancient people gathered at these moments not simply to observe the light, but because they sensed the boundary between ordinary perception and something else grew thinner when the year itself turned. They treated the alignment as active rather than passive. And we've talked about this an awful lot with not just the equinoxes, but the solstice events during the year and the thinning of the veil itself, whatever that means to you. And you don't have to believe in anything YouTube is good. Okay, Discord, really nothing on Discord at all? That's absolutely wild. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. No, nothing's muted. Yeah, let's check the channel. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. That sucks because Discord is typically how we are. A lot of us are using Discord. And is Discord working? Is it actually working? Okay. Anyway. All right. I see you guys on Discord. Sorry about that. Like I said, if there's stuff's breaking, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so this year, the same turning coincides with an unusual concentration of attention. And this has been the whole trickster summer we've been talking about all year long, or not all year, all summer long. The World Cup has organized billions of nervous systems around the same unfolding events. Okay. Fresh public files have described orbs that register observation and forms that appear to generate smaller versions of themselves. Now, I will bookmark that and show you. This link is in the description. I do encourage you to check it out. It is from Popular Mechanics. Like I said, these mysterious blobs may be conscious and they exist all around you. I'll read some of that so you understand what it's all about. And a film, of course, exploring contact and a public forum on the subject may have added further nodes of focused noticing in terms of disclosure itself. And this ritual binding event of the summer of disclosure. Okay. So what if disclosure in this context operates less like an announcement and more like this larger ritual is the whole point. Not the delivery of hidden information from above, but a shift in relationship that becomes possible when enough attention gathers at the right celestial threshold. The older pattern was to mark the turning with ritual so that something could be received or recognized. The newer version may be doing something similar at planetary scale, whether or not anyone intends it that way at all. The solstice does not provide or prove a mechanism in this case. It simply offers the oldest and clearest frame we have for what happens when collective attention meets a turning point in the light itself. The question it leaves is, without the intensity of watching at this particular hinge, is it already participating in changing what can be seen? Back to Amun and Ra and the seen and unseen realms as part of this. Now, like I said, there's a lot that's been coming through the zeitgeist in terms of not just disclosure with these sentient plasmas or bipedal aliens from the mouth of one David Grush, which we covered when that happened. But again, like I said, it just seems like these things just keep clunking out where they fit into this space. Now, I'll read you just a little bit of this actual article from Popular Mechanics. And so it is. The headline is this: these mysterious blobs may be conscious and they exist all around you. Now, doesn't that sound very alien-esque or something to that effect? So they cooperate, make decisions, and even display a primitive form of altruism, scientists say. Oh, well, you don't say, right? So they're in your forest, in your garden, even on your lawn. These little blobs can look like bright yellow aliens whose thready networks keep stretching out to somewhere. Indeed. In the lab, they've displayed astonishing prowess for getting through obstacles, including overcoming strong natural aversions to reach a goal. Yet, they can't do much of anything on their own. It's only when they join forces with others like themselves that their form of intelligence suddenly comes into being. Does all this mean they're conscious? Now, that's a loaded word these days, isn't it? So in the 1990s, a theory emerged called the cellular basis of consciousness, the CBC, which states that life and sentience are basically the same thing. According to the theory, quote, all living organisms are conscious, self-aware, and have balanced sensory and perceptual experiences, end quote. CBC argues that unicellular prokaryotes or the simplest form of unicellular life, such as common bacteria, engage in associative learning, stable memory formation, route navigation, and decision making. And we've talked about this quite a lot in the past in a lot of different ways. Quote, they anticipate upcoming events and readily create functional social collectives within which they display both cooperation and competition, and fascinatingly, a primitive form of altruism where some cells in a colony put themselves at risk to support the life functions of other cells in distress. Yeah, right there. All that. I encourage you to read this in full. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but one final thing from this article. So the slime mold known as the blob is a prime example. It's a colony of unicellular eukaryotes, or cells with nuclei, such as, can I say this, Physarum polycephalum, that can solve math problems and find its way out of a maze without chemical inducements like food. No brain required, just member cells that merge into a single cell mass containing multiple nuclei. And again, like I said, go check it out. Links in the description on this Popular Mechanics article. Wild stuff. Now, when we talk about consciousness, it's a wild time to be alive, because the consciousness aspect of the conversation itself has really turned into something more like AI, non-human intelligence, right? This type of thing. And that's where not just the conversation lies currently, but also where the conversation is heading in terms of non-human intelligence itself. And like I've said recently, you remember that it used to be with alien intelligence, it was EBEs, or extraterrestrial biological entity. And that was the alien intelligence we were supposedly dealing with, at least in, the scientific terms of naming these things. And I'm not saying that science has recognized aliens and any of the rest of that, but I am saying that in this particular place and space of the conversation, that the terms have changed recently quite a lot. And I think AI has a lot to do with that. So anyway, I'm not sure what's going on with this or why these things are not working. Oh, crap. I didn't even post a Twitter thing. I guess I did now. Okay. Anyway, like I said, everything might be broken tonight. So what else? Maybe we just shit can it and come back another time. But test 1, 2 on Discord. Anybody hear me on Discord? Nobody's answering on Discord, so probably not. Anyway, okay. So what about this solstice thing? Do you think it is sort of a ritual binding? Do you think it's possible that these moments actually turn the collective attention into a seal, into something that we cannot backtrack on because suddenly we all recognize it. We all know it in a moment. And that really becomes what's going on. Discord is good for some. The other streams are working. Okay. All right. So Discord is working for some people. I'm sorry about the people that it's not working for. Do listen on the different streams here. And if anybody wants to put their hand up and jump in and test it, that would be super cool, so we could actually see if Discord's going to be a viable thing for actual calls. We got one call here. I'm not sure if that's going to be James or somebody else, but we'll talk to the caller in just a second here after the break. But okay, so this is the deal. We're taking your calls. Everything should be working in terms of the phone line, 702-857-6939. I'll drop that in the chat in a second here as well. And look, this entire thing to me is, like I said, really, really strange. It's happening in the mind's eye of disclosure of this worldwide attention space of the West, and the World Cup being in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. We talked about that a couple shows ago. But then also, not just the World Cup, but then this 250th birthday of the United States, the ultimate 4th of July, okay? Which means, of course, the 4th of July, excuse me, ID4, Independence Day, is very heavily themed as part of that old Will Smith movie. So what the hell's going on with this? Like I said, is it wild enough here to consider that something very big is happening? And after this ritual turning today and the rest of the power magic ritual that comes with this, is it possible there's no turning back? That's really the question. And how weird does it get? That's the whole point. And that's why I do this. That's why I talk about these ideas with friends that are very smart and see the world similar, but also different. Once again, phone number should be working, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. I think we'll try Discord a little later. I don't know. James says he can't hear or nothing's coming through, I think. Anyway, here we go. Happy solstice to everybody. Indeed. Happy summer solstice. It is that day today. And yeah, hopefully you spent it well and did some good things, because Why not? Isn't that what we're here to do? If you want to be part of the conversation, one more time, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and come on in here. And if it's not working tonight, that's okay. We'll get working another night. That's that. What do you know about it? I'm calling it From Sun Gods to Star Visitors. New gods of the old sun for a very obvious reason. The summer solstice is upon us. The ritual turning of disclosure itself and what comes next. One more time, 702-857-6939. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Night, we watch the ancient stones align. A silver shadow crossed the sun, and every signal came alive.
The temple doors are opening. The silent sky is listening.
The sun was never empty. There was something in the light. At the threshold of Aquarius, the hidden gods arrived.
The sun was never empty. Now the old world comes alive. From sun gods to star visitors,
we open up the sky. The priests became officials. The temples changed their names. But still we face the heavens and worship distant flames.
disclosure is a ritual. The language cold and clean. An ancient revelation appearing on the screen.
The sun was never empty. There was something in the light. At the threshold of Aquarius, the hidden gods arrive.
Or something like that. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. Lunging Mule, can I say it right? Joe in Florida, Steve in England. What's up, Partial? We got Sacha, Joey, and Daryl. What's up? What's up over on Rumble? Lots of people here. Thanks to shout out Ricky and James there for the stream. Anything is possible. Appreciate you guys. What's up, Nostradamus? And Hiker got first over there. What's up, Margie? Hello was not available. Merlin Magi. Good evening, guys. Hope everybody's well tonight. Yeah. Sweets. Thank you again to Sweets for all the reposts and all the places. Sweets is so fast to shoot them off. I can't even give him a heart fast enough. Thank you for that. Appreciate it very much. All the mods out there doing all the work. What's up, Merlin Magi? What's up, Sweets? Like I said, Ephemerance. Good evening, JB, Real Jason Barker. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. Let's see. Who am I missing? Happy Father's Day. Yes, indeed. Happy Father's Day falls on the same day as the solstice this year. I'm still talking and we're out of time. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right about now. We got a mystery caller on line 1 and your calls as well. Here we go. I'll come circle back around and say hi to YouTube momentarily. There we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting out of Las Vegas, of course. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we talk the trickster summer, the summer solstice, the power day of the year, so far, of course, and how this leads into the idea of disclosure itself. Do you think that there is a turning here? Not just a turning in the way we see life and how we label consciousness and what we've learned about ourselves, not just in our lifetime, but over the thousands of years of being human. And of course, how weird does it get? That becomes the question here, because when I look at these things and start to recognize what's happening all around us, at least, let's say in the ritual space, the mind's eye of the ritual space, I think there's something here. And this is the whole point we've been doing this trickster summer bit, because it feels as if something is happening. And maybe, just maybe, the world is going to change its mind collectively about a great many things. Or, of course, maybe not, because we find ourselves many times stuck. And I mean that not just as regular individual humans, sovereign, conscious humans, but also in the larger context of the world itself, society itself. I don't know. Sometimes you feel like we've made it someplace and we're about to turn a corner, and then it seems like something happens that takes us back, one step forward, 2 steps back. But what do you feel about today, about the summer solstice itself? Not just sort of the power day, but the power day of the summer of saucers marching inexorably on into the 250th Independence Day. I'm telling you, there's so many things here that are just screaming signals, synchronicities, all in one space. There are too many to list. Like, you can go back 4 or 5 shows and just listen, and it's synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. So what the hell's going on? Is it planned? Is it all marketing? Maybe. I think there's certainly a huge element to that. But there's so many things swirling that I don't believe it's all marketing. I think there's something larger happening. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you know? By the way, no truth to be found here. This is just ideas. This is kind of throwing these things out there and seeing if they stick and seeing what you guys think about them. So if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. This is about possibilities. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to whoever's on the phone line. Line 1, you're on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Joe in Florida coming through loud and clear. Let me know if you guys can hear on the Discord. How you doing, my man? Welcome to the thing. Thanks for jumping on the phone line instead of Discord. And go right ahead. All yours.
Yeah, I was having an issue with Discord. I rebooted like 3 times and I didn't get anything. So I wasn't sure if the phone was going to work. But messing with all of that, I didn't have a chance to write like some notes, because sometimes I'll scribble some notes down. But I did read part of the write-up, so I got a couple of ways to approach it. I did not realize that today was the solstice. I did have some weird dreams this afternoon, which I found amusing. That means anything. But addressing your immediate question about, is it done on purpose? A psyop, too many coincidences. I start to wonder where, if we would have this conversation 15 or 20 years ago, I might be apt to say definite coincidences on the larger scale, right? Now, individual things that might happen to you or me, these little synchronicities that happen to you or me, and other people out there that are personal to us, that I think would be maybe more, the supernatural or spiritual type. But looking at the large marketing of things in this day and age, I just look at the algorithm on my phone, which makes me doubt everything. So timing, all of those things are always suspect. I think it is done by design. A lot of it. The 250th, to me, this country doesn't have the age of other countries that have survived turmoil. We're still in our infancy. But it's a funny thing you say that, because I always used to like to celebrate with fireworks, and I would spend quite a bit of money on fireworks. And I think definitely last year, I didn't even celebrate 4th of July. And aside from us maybe going out dancing on the 3rd, the 4th of July won't be spent here without fireworks again. And that's just my little act of rebellion. So, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. We're not free. Whatever that means.
Yeah, hold on though.
Personal choice.
Regarding the hypocrite stuff, remember that we're supposed to be contradictions of ourselves. Now, not intentionally, not to a ridiculous trickster archetype personally, but we are allowed to have those contradictions and, see the good in a particular slice. Okay. And even be able to celebrate that. So just a reminder to everybody out there that we're supposed to be contradictions. We're supposed to have them within us as people. And shout out to Terrence McKenna, who very eloquently stated that and convinced me that we're supposed to contradict ourselves, specifically because he stated that if you do not ever contradict yourself, then your actual takes on life and the world around us, the cosmos that is mysterious, are far too simple. Like you've sort of put yourself into a box and follow somebody else's recommendations of what that means. So anyway, he didn't say all that, but I butchered it at the end and added some stuff, but he baked it down to that. So it's okay to contradict ourselves. It's part of being human, 100%.
Now, from a personal standpoint with these plasmoids and things, because I had a chance to read some of the write-up, but I know I've mentioned it on the show before, years ago, and I haven't mentioned it lately, but aside from having weird sightings throughout my life of lights and things in the sky, specifically as an adult, I can tell you that 3 times, but definitely twice that I can remember, was when my mother-in-law passed away and when my sister-in-law passed away. And both of those times at night, and they passed away unexpectedly. And I remember being outside of my house after everybody tried to get to bed, and I always look for some kind of normalcy, like the routine of being on the show or coming on the show. Or sometimes I just listen to you in the background and I'm doing things, right? Routine. As much as I don't have one too much, but this is routine. But in my heart of desperation, I remember just looking out and saying, I hope, it was something to the akin of, I hope everything is going to be okay. And call it a shooting star, call it a plasmoid, but 2 times in that feeling of desperation for what my significant other was feeling, I got what I took to be as a sign, right? So, and then a couple of weeks ago, and I know that I wrote it down on the calendar, a couple of weeks ago outside, lifting weights for whatever it's worth as the sun was going down, 3 times, on different days, 2 Mondays in a row, and then like a month later, like on a Monday, in between sets, I'm just laying on the bench, looking up, and sun's going down pretty much. It's already set in the Gulf, because I'm close to the Gulf of Mexico. And it could have been a lightning bug, but they're not prevalent down here. But there was something kind of way up in the sky, and it would just blink, and it was meandering. And then it would blink again, no pattern, just meandering. And then it would just blink one more time, and it would be gone. So those are the little plasma things that I saw. And it felt like I asked for that, and I saw that. I asked the universe, and I saw. Okay? I don't share that part of it in that much detail because it's kind of weird, whatever, but I know that I saw stuff. And not to mention all the synchronicities that I had with the show when my sister-in-law passed away that we have discussed a couple of other times on previous shows with going to Hawaii and all kinds of synchronicities and things that came after that. And there was the time where I saw the V in my State Park. I saw the V, not the triangle, the V-shaped UFO, just flying over too fast, hit butt. And there was a time my son, he's 21 now, he will admit it, but he will still say, I think it was a plane, but I didn't hear anything. 8 o'clock at night on a highway that was pretty busy. I see something hovering over a building, and I'm hitting him. He's on his Kindle, and I'm hitting him like, look up, look up. And it's in the distance, as we're pulling up, I roll the windows down as I'm getting underneath. I'm like driving underneath this thing. And as I'm rolling the windows down, and we're literally both noticing it now, and we're underneath it, the thing just starts to move with no noise. And it moved like you were watching an old cartoon that was hand-drawn, like an old Mickey Mouse cartoon where they just flip the cards. Does that make sense? That was the way this thing moved. It was like we noticed it, it moved away. Right? So thinking about that tonight, in the few minutes that I had to read, and bringing this spirituality to maybe some scientific answer. If quantum mechanics says that distance doesn't matter between two particles, and we don't know where consciousness is stored in our brain, who's to say that that is not ourselves or some kind of a signal? Right? Where people would say they were angels and things like that. When people pray and go into a trance, maybe it's not really an angel. Maybe it's your actual node that's there playing the video game, playing the character that we are here on Earth, if that makes some kind of convoluted sense.
Yeah, it makes some sense. And this is the funny thing, right? Like I've said this recently as well, that somebody, a noted astrophysicist will say something like, if entanglement and, decoherence is a thing, of course, is part of it. But if entanglement is real and there was a singularity of the Big Bang, then we're all entangled in some way. There's going to be some kind of leftover, maybe, right? We're all stardust, as they say, and the rest of that stuff. But real quick, hold on. So if they say it, right, they can say it and get away with it. If you and I say it, we're just quacks. We're just kind of dumb quacks that are just, talking woo. So which is it, right? You certainly can't have it both ways. And that's the problem I have with these types of conversations, and why I think it's okay for, just the regular types of the world to think about them in terms of whether it's spirituality or not, or otherwise. I think it's important.
But for sure, because if there is a Big Bang, if there was a Big Bang, then, and all of that is true, then we're already dead. We're living in shadows of the past, which would explain deja vu, right? It would explain precognition. Okay. It might explain past lives. All of it's entangled. Perfect word for it. But then maybe there's a group, and we always talk about it, maybe it's the archons or, these archetypes, whatever you want to call it. And kind of, this thought experiment that I've just kind of gone through these last few minutes before I called you. Because, figuring out the phone or the Discord and all that. But what I start to wonder is if there's a segment of people, maybe they're not people, I shouldn't say that, but there's a segment of folks that believe the Western religion, specifically the Old Testament, and that Old Testament God wanted us to be ignorant. Adam and Eve in the garden, ignorant. Okay, so just think of that. So here we are, all of us questioning reality every day. However, for the general population to parse what is being thrown at us, what popped into my head was when we have talked about that on, like I was able to pronounce it before, but that shock that destroys everything. I just picture us as these living machines that are going to be so overloaded that we're going to check out. Some of us will check out. Some of us will burn out. Some of us will snap. You know how people snap? They take a hit of acid, they don't come home, something like that. I start to wonder if, and I already know, some people live ignorant. So I just start to wonder that might bring us back to being ignorant, let alone if AI becomes the Tower of Babel. There's so many other things I've been reading lately, which is interesting. Like some guy had a post about basically all of us being indoctrinated to be hosts, to be possessed. So when we believe in aliens, we might actually be believing in spiritual to be possessed. And that movie that just came out, whatever the movie is that Spielberg released, that movie, which I have not seen, is more about possession and being accepting of that, to be a possessed vessel, that something enters in.
Kind of, yeah.
And we, right?
Yeah,
so,
kind of.
Then somebody, I just saw another post too, and these aren't coincidences. This is the algorithm feeding me, right? Whatever. But I always thought it was weird that when you would go to Catholic church, it was, and again, I'm a recovering Catholic, of the body of Christ. So is that, and this, actually, well, let me back up. There is a synchronicity for me personally on that. So Friday night, I had DJ at the, I was going to say I had DJ at the Castle in Ybor. This weekend was the Masquerade weekend. They had the Vampire Ball. It's on Saturday. But on Friday night, they do their own, like the higher end people, because people pay a lot of money for this bullshit. And usually the DJs there, we make our own little jokes. But for all the years I've gone to this club and everything, I've never been part of that Vampire Taboo Masquerade. That's what it's called. But on Friday night, they had the dungeon pretty much rented for their own ceremony from 8 to 11, like a meet and greet. They do some howling. They howl, they do some bullshit. They play music, they drink, they talk. And I was lined up to go. And I looked at my buddy and I go, what's the deal with this? Like, we were sitting in there with them. I was like sitting off to a corner with my gear. And he goes, a lot of them will tell you they're energy vampires, but they're energy vampires. So then, like, today I'm reading something about when you say the blood of the body of Christ, you actually could be engaging in a spell. And there was a debate on the thread about that's because Jesus wants you to be more Christ-like. And other people are like, well, maybe it's true. Maybe it's a demonic thing. Because in some circles, Jesus can be viewed as the rebel. I don't know. Okay. Now, getting back to God of the Old Testament, what happens if the leaders here want us to be ignorant? What happens if they just want to short circuit us out so that we comply? In the minimum, we all should agree on this show that they want compliance, and we know this to be true because flock cameras, we've been harmonized and everything. They want us to comply at every turn. Heck, I had the police here 2 weeks ago for a post that I put on a Facebook page. There was an innocent post that said satire, and the cops showed up at my door.
Are you serious? That really happened?
Yeah, I'm serious. If I could post a picture, it'll be on Discord if I don't do it tonight because I'm tired. But basically, on a separate note, it will be off the topic. There's construction going on in my corner, and they haven't even fixed one, and they started tearing up the other one. So I basically asked AI, one of my rare uses of AI, which was great. I literally just asked AI, make a flyer or a flash mob to move the barrels from one side of the street to the other. And when I posted it on the local group, I put in big letters, this is satire. And the next day, a cop was at my door, and I still have the voicemail from the other cop. And while they were nice about it and said I wasn't in trouble, I took it down. I could have argued my First Amendment rights because people post much worse, but I didn't. That happened.
Wow.
So they want compliance. They want compliance. So whether you look at compliance as ignorant, that's fine. Did we talk? And by the way, did we talk about voice to skull? Did we talk about that this week?
We did not this week. We've certainly talked about it on this show quite a lot in the past.
So apparently there was a news article. I think I say that on my Facebook feed. That's the only social media I use. But apparently on a news channel somewhere around the country here, they actually put it as a news story, and they showed some of the patents, and they spoke to a group of people that literally believed they were getting voice to skull. So what happens to those of us here, like on the show? Let's say we're the last people that question reality. We don't short circuit. We take it in stride. They're like, yeah, we knew this bullshit was happening. We knew this was happening. We know that's happening, right? We know all of this. Now, what happens to the few of us that they can pinpoint what voice the skull to make us fucking crazy?
Easy on the F-bombs. Yeah, no, okay. I'm not sure where I stand in that space of, kind of beaming thoughts into our head. Certainly with mass media and the things we've talked about of suggestion, the power of suggestion, I think there's no doubt about that type of stuff. But when you come to like a specific technology or like Havana syndrome, which probably fits into it very well what you're describing there. Like, I don't know, like clearly we've got the technology to do some of these things, but at what scale is really the question. And of course, as you know, that would be illegal as hell here. But when has that really stopped, MK Ultra, for instance, and things like that. So I think we have a larger problem here, and specifically it's just kind of keeping control of ourselves, of our own mind space, of not fritzing out as you're describing, or kind of becoming so dejected with the mass media of MK Ultra version that we check out. Like we're still sovereign entities in this world, and this is our world too, as I always say. So yeah, this is important. This is important to talk about. And some people think this is a frivolous conversation. I don't think so. I think this is the tip of the spear when it comes to where we're headed, because we need to recognize what's happening to us before we can even reconcile or do or change anything about it.
And to me, it leads back to full circle. We're going to be back, I think, to ignorance. I mean, if AI is going to be the arbiter of truth, and these data setters are going to spit their own narrative. In other words, your paper encyclopedia is not going to be the truth. What is truth anymore? We keep saying that, but an example, I should say another stupid synchronicity today, there was a page that has Florida happenings. And it says, if you're in Ybor City, if you want to have some mayhem, go to the castle. It's a great restaurant. And some people caught that and were like, this is a terribly written AI article. And the picture looked like it was a castle from England. It didn't even look like the club that I occasionally work at, right? But those of us who know, but other people that are all around Florida, if they've never heard or know of the club, they're going to think it's a restaurant. So what's happening here? You're dumbing people down, and we are dumbing people down. We're dumbing the population down. We have more information at our fingertips. And what is it used for? And if you're not getting the information, if we're not reading things to make our own judgment, because I don't think I'm trying to explain this lightly that makes sense. But like when you make the expression, it bleeds, everything to get your attention is solicited to get an emotional response, not a logical one. Where we may read books, and those of us who understand, when you read books or when you make an argument, you try to have your evidence. Like when you do your show, you have some backing articles and some backing evidence, right? Or when some of us speak, or when I speak, I try to say as an example of, because we've stepped back and maybe given something a few more minutes of thought than the average person.
Yeah.
And that's a slippery slope. And that attention span also, maybe to make this ADHD argument kind of full circle in a way, all those attention spans get focused to, the solstice, disclosure. Every time disclosure happens, it's on a Friday. Maybe it's on a Friday so they don't upset the stock market. That might be the prevailing thought. But maybe it's because it's easier to measure. And I don't know if there's human resonance. I don't know how they measure it. They measure it with their phones. They measure it with pictures. If people are at the World Cup, I haven't watched any of that garbage. And in fact, I love to play hockey, but it's been years since I've watched a whole hockey game on TV. And when I was watching Game 6 of the Stanley Cup, at the end, there was a commercial that I saw that I did not like. Just like when they have certain commercials during the Super Bowl that I don't particularly care for it, that say he gets us. And I had to say to myself, I really can't support this anymore.
I saw that too. Yeah, it's weird, right? You get like the COVID commercials, make sure you get your shot, and then you get like the Jesus commercials too, like right after. And I'm not saying the two are the same thing, so everybody relax. But it's just a wild thing when you talk about the larger context of advertising and how it just hits the mass media and our mind space. It's super weird. We're just about out of time, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for jumping through the hoops and calling in on the phone line in the Discord business. Final thought, my man.
Final thought is, question. First of all, no gods, no masters. That's what's been going through my head. No gods, no freaking masters. Question everything, and we all are going to go with what our heart believes, right? Our heart, our mind, and just be true to yourself, and just try to keep your network of friends. I mean, just try to. I have friends that have reached out to me after years because I still go out to them. Like, I had friends that have reached out, like, "Hey, you still work at that club?" After like 25 years, and I'm like, "Yeah." And full circle, they're older now, and they want to come out. And I don't want to deny. You don't want to deny people. If somebody needs help, you help them. Don't run with the crowd. Unless you obviously see a tidal wave coming. But just question everything.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for jumping through the hoops to get on here. And thanks for the amazing take. You're the best. Appreciate you. Have a fantastic night. Happy solstice. Happy Father's Day. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Good night.
We love him. Joe in Florida. Good friend for a long time. Shout out Kelly was the first guy to call and call back. Joe was the second guy to call and call back. Here we are years later with all these smart friends talking about wild ideas by dark of night. What do you know? I'm calling this From Sun Gods to Star Visitors, Talking Disclosure. New gods of the old sun. Some things never change, am I right? Love to hear what you think. 702-857-6939. The Discord is down, kind of. It works for some people, and other people it doesn't. Call us on the phone line. Love to hear your take on this. Lot in play here. What do you know? This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A decade-long astronomical mystery remains unsolved tonight, as new research from the University of Vienna fails to rule out self-annihilating dark matter as the source of a puzzling gamma-ray glow at the center of our galaxy. Known as the galactic center excess, the phenomenon has stumped researchers who have debated whether rapidly spinning neutron stars called pulsars, or something far more exotic, might be responsible. Using machine learning trained on over 1 million simulated gamma-ray observations, the research team found that any pulsar population at the galactic core would be extraordinarily faint, a result that actually strengthens the case for dark matter annihilation as the cause. Shifting now to early human development, a new study published in the Journal of Life Sciences suggests that while infant brains begin processing musical structure remarkably early in life, the physical ability to coordinate movement to a beat develops far more slowly. Researchers from the Italian Institute of Technology in Rome and the University of Vienna simultaneously tracked brain activity and body movement in babies under 1 year old, the first study of its kind. The findings offer a new window into how musicality, one of humanity's most universal traits, emerges in the critical first months of life. And in genetics, scientists at Johns Hopkins University and Texas A&M have identified a layer of biological inheritance that operates entirely outside the classic rules established by Gregor Mendel over a century ago. Published in Nature Genetics, the federally funded mouse study found that roughly 7% of epigenetic inheritance patterns, chemical modifications that influence gene activity without changing the DNA itself, do not follow traditional expectations set by Mendel. Researchers also documented what appears to be the first naturally occurring example of a rare gene silencing effect ever observed in mammals, a phenomenon previously seen only in plants and fruit flies. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out doing Troubled Mind stuff. The Discord is a little wobbly and broken. By the way, before we started tonight, Claude was also broken, so I'm guessing there's some major hack attack on AWS or something. Like I can't confirm that, but when major services like this kind of go out at the same time, it makes me makes my tinfoil tingle, of course. Shout out, Joe. Great call. Appreciate that. Over to YouTube. Sorry, I missed you guys. And Herschel over there on Kick. If you guys haven't checked out Kick, maybe you should. Yeah, I see you guys. Thanks again for being part of the conversation. Thanks for being nice in the chat to each other. And thanks for recognizing that the truth is quite a bit more slippery, as I like to say, than we ever drained. What's up, Sweets? Herschel's there. What's up, Joey? Don't Panic. Steve in England. What's going on, guys? Ioxy. Stomp the Gremlins, indeed. What's up at Bonnie's? How are you? Good evening. What's up, Daryl in New York? We got Steve in England, like I said. What's up, Richard in Texas? 5x5 on YouTube. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What's going on? Techni and Logia says cannabis suppresses your REM sleep, causing you to have very few. I don't smoke, so maybe alcohol does the same thing. I do drink I'm been known to drink some beers from time to time. What's up, Unseen Steve McQueen, Ioxy? What's up, James? I see you there. Good evening, guys. Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out, doing Troubled Mind stuff, and considering what is real and what is not. What's up, Akashic? I see you. What's up, Riz? Welcome back. Glad to see you there. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. And I know you're listening otherwise, but just good to see you in the chat. What's up, Mr. Mission Control? Good evening, guys. And yeah, also Sacha mentions this. Science says, allow us this one miracle and we'll fill in the rest. And that's a Terence McKenna quote. And exactly right, talking about the Big Bang itself. It's a wild idea, right? Like I said, it's okay to contradict ourselves. Don't feel like so rigid in your mind space that you have to always be sort of marching the company line of whatever that means, of, the conscious reality that you sort of ascribe yourself to. You don't have to. You can contradict things even in a moment and change your mind tomorrow. Remember, we're smart. We're malleable. We understand what's happening around us, and that's that. What's up, Bim Jim? I see you there. Welcome back. I'm glad to see you. Yeah, look, I don't know. Gaston, I see you there too. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Like I said, the Discord is broken for some people, and the phone line is working. 702-857-6939. Here we go. Let's click the buttons and do the things. Troubled Minds happening right about when I find the button. How about now? Now? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Come follow our friends. Come say hi and learn about not just me, but also the rest of these conversations. Look, over 1,100 episodes, over 8 years, this conversation has happened, okay? I like to call it the Great Conversation because, look, everything, it's wide-ranging. We talk about all manner of things, all the conspiracy stuff, of course. And look, not just as like an adherent believer of these things, but as a sort of conscious observer of what's happening around us. And is there any truth to any of this? And tonight, it's the summer solstice. Welcome to it. Happy Father's Day as well. But I'm calling this from sun gods to star visitors and new gods of the old sun, which, shout out to Eric the Night Stalker, is very, as you might expect it, to meet the new gods the same as the old gods, as he's always said on this show. And this feels very similar. It feels as if this disclosure effort, this disclosure movement, is not just, let's say, about aliens or little green men, as we always talk about them, but it's a larger consciousness shift of, as I said recently, the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment in some capacity. And think of it this way. Like, if you're like, Mike, that's a little too woo, that's a little too weird, that's fine. Because listen to this. If the entirety of the human world turned in a moment and recognized we're not alone in the universe as a collective, that certainly would be a sea change of enlightenment itself. And so to kind of point things in astrological spaces and even make massive claims over the Bach tunes of the Mayan calendar, it feels as if we're in that space, or at least we're trying to shoot through a gap in the given disclosure arena. Okay. And look, I know it's complicated. I know there's a lot happening. I know. I'm trying to keep up with all of it, and I just cannot. Non-human intelligence, of course, AI. There's so many things in play right now that are worthy of this discussion that make a lot of sense. Don't forget the original PSYOP of the UAP to the UFO, vice versa. I mean, what does it mean? And certainly the fact that the government dropped the, war.gov/UFO, or no, was it aliens.gov, and it was an immigration website. The ultimate troll. And then they they release officially every other week, approximately, disclosure stuff, right? Here's some new files. But we don't have anything that's like, bam, mind-blowing. There's still, it's like, okay, cool. We knew you had this stuff. Some of it's mildly interesting to me, but also they've peppered some fake stuff in there, some fake documents. So it's like, okay, so which is it now? Is this disclosure or is this full-on trickster summer as we've been calling this as part of this conversation? And I don't know the answer. I do know that it's difficult to keep up with, and it's difficult to wrap your mind around what's actually happening and what it actually means to be human in 2026. And that's why I'm here. That's why I talk about this. I think it's incredibly important for us to think about things outside of the paradigm of a normal cultured society and be a little bit heathen, as it were. Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation, the Discord, like I said, is kind of sketchy right now, but you can call on the phone line. Hey, my vibe coded phone line, I coded that my damn self, works when everything else is down. Weird, right? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Thanks for being a patient friend. Whoever you are, what's your first name, where are you calling from, and you're on Troubled Minds, go right ahead.
Hey, is it me?
It's you.
Yes, it is.
It's you. You're up.
Hi, Michael. What a great show. Great topic. Great call from Joe. I totally connected to what he was connecting to. And he obviously is connecting to some kind of a consciousness, I believe. As far as this conversation, okay, plasmic consciousness. This is funny. Today I was like in and out of sleep after being rejected off of a Discord, by the way. Discord kept on pooping on me, so it's not personal. In the middle of a song, a karaoke channel, my Discord decides to relaunch, right? Good timing, right? So don't take it personally. But I was listening to a Billy Carson and Alex Jones interview, if you could imagine the two of them. Good combo, right?
That's probably wild.
What?
That's probably wild. I haven't heard that one yet. I'll have to dial that one up. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Literally happened 3 hours ago, right? So yeah, you probably didn't hear of it, but they were talking about something similar, and I'm going to probably, not paraphrase this as best as I can remember, but basically they took a piece of DNA, put it into a computer, and then took a smaller piece of DNA and then put that into a computer. Anyway, one little, like the smallest atom of DNA had 3 billion points of data on it. And they could, take it out and put it in and put it back in, and it would still have that many, millions of points of data. So our DNA holds more data than the universe, let's say. Maybe the numbers are incorrect, but you get the idea, right? And it can be, so it shows that there is a programming to our DNA even. Everything, our DNA is like the program of life. And they're going to be able, probably with artificial intelligence, to find the code of life, or the primer of life, based on this this theory, and that the whole Big Bang, or the universe, it's all connected. And we might have programmed, maybe our programming personally is only good for our existence, or our planet, or maybe our solar system. Maybe it's totally alien to a different galaxy. It might be totally different life forms in a different parallel universe. I mean, God knows it's exponential. And if something about the universe, if it's infinite, how could we have had a Big Bang to an infinite universe? If the universe was finite, then how is it all happening anyway? And that the Big Bang happened at the same time that we were, like, it all happens at the same time. So time doesn't really matter, like Joe was kind of talking about. These were some of the concepts that were talked about during this, during the podcast. But also, like, if something happens within our paradigm that can alter our reality. Let's say, we go through a different age of Aquarius or age of something, and it suddenly shifts. Maybe we have had gradual shifts, but what if it's sudden, and like you wake up like suddenly, and your world is totally different. And this just happened to me in a dream while this was being discussed. So I had this crazy dream that I was in a Ritz-Carlton, and I was with a group of people, and then another group of people were in some kind of like nice hotel that was not a Ritz-Carlton. In any case, suddenly we went through some kind of tumble through the universe, and we all woke up, and we were no longer in the kind of accommodations that we thought we were in like minutes ago. And we all had to take a look around, and like everything had gotten a little shabbier. Even the Ritz-Carlton looked a little run down. I'm just saying, like, this just all happened within a few hours today. So that's enough for this moment. What do you think of what I just said?
Yeah, no. So it's wild, and that's really why I like to bring this up, because it doesn't always affect me the same, but certainly the solstice does have an effect somehow, some way. And last year was a wild dream. I had this really crazy dream that I did a whole show about it. We talked about it. I was kind of vague on the points of the dream because it was a little bit of a sexy time dream with like rando, right? It just didn't it made no sense. It wasn't just sort of like the ape mechanism of procreation. It wasn't like that at all. It seemed different. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was the solstice when I had this dream. And so now here we are again. The solstice this time is now on a Sunday. We're doing a show. So, I don't know. I'm not maybe priming my mind for the dream that comes, but it's weird that we're tuned into these ideas, and whether or not you believe any of this stuff, astrology or, any of the things we always talk about. And look, I'm not even sure to what level I believe them personally. And as always, why I talk about belief, I think it's important, but also recognize that you're sort of self-priming, and you're kind of setting yourself up for a particular thing. Oh, Mercury's in retrograde, so it's going to be a bad week or something like this, right? But it doesn't have to be that way, does it? And that becomes the larger weirdness of this. And so you feeling this, like you're feeling this sea change right now in the moment, and it's happening to you as a synchronicity today. So do I think it's a coincidence? No, I don't believe too much in coincidence. I believe certainly coincidences are out there, but I do believe there's a synchronicity engine that brings us all together in some way, or even brings the universe to us, the cosmos to us in some way as well. So look, I don't know what it all means, but I do know that it's interesting to consider the concepts and then to share these ideas, because like I said, if we're not talking about this tonight, maybe the synchronicity you experienced today is completely missed. And, maybe Tuesday we're talking about something else and it doesn't even come up at all. Right. This is why it's important to talk to each other about all these ideas. I've rambled on enough. Fire stuff. What else you got? Go ahead.
Well, the other thing, okay, so about this, about the solstices, I mean, I'm thinking, like, did people have enough time to just look at the sky forever and say, oh, today is a longer day than yesterday, and the sun's shining a little longer today, and if you look at the pyramid and long enough, hey, this didn't happen yesterday, but look, today, doesn't that look like a snake that's rolling down the pyramid? Hey, let's mark the calendar, And then how did they figure that out? Like, did they have that kind of free time? Was the world so great? Maybe it was. Or how did we get all this knowledge? How did we ever get knowledge? Did we ever get it on our own, or did we get fed all of this outrageous knowledge that changed the planet suddenly? We went from well, like they say, hunters and gatherers to suddenly, agricultural giants and, architectural, geniuses and, scientific, masters, et cetera. How did this happen? Did we all get fed this? How many times did we get smart overnight? Was it sudden, or was it, by design, or was it evolution? Does this happen normally, or does this happen by design? And what's scarier, that we're all alone in the universe, or that we're not alone in the universe? Maybe we've created these paradigms so that we don't feel so lonely. You make you don't want to, God probably created us so he wouldn't be so lonely, let's say, or she wouldn't be so lonely. Did we create some sort of artificial intelligence or alien beings, just because we just hate the thought of being alone in the universe. That's it for this moment.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the theories too, right? So imagine having the power over everything, the foresight, you know what's coming, all the rest of it, but there's still just you. Like you got it all, but it's just you. And so I think, and this is where we talked about Philip K. Dick in the past and sort of the idea of the architect and a dark counter player. And again, so settle down. I'm not trying to be blasphemous, so everybody relax. But that without an adversarial mind, there's no chess, there's no game, there's no actual pushback on the ideas. And we've said this in the past that, shout out to Matt Sal, if you're out there, he said that, you know, your own version of utopia is going to be somebody else's dystopia. And so without some sort of a counterbalance to the light, then there is only tyranny, right? And so there has to be some sort of counterbalance there. And again, go look up Philip K. Dick and that cosmology. Like I said, he said, if you think this reality is bad, you should see some of the others. Okay. And some people think he was a schizo crazy and whatever else, but you get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to make, again, not trying to be blasphemous. Like I do recognize that a lot of the things I say sometimes are kind of tiptoeing in that space, but I think it's important to be able to, like I always say, face our own mythologies and talk about them without, being so contentious in a conversation. But the Philip K. Dick thing comes in very well to what you're describing. And I think it's important. I think all this is very important. And one of the earliest shows, by the way, shout out Herschel. I think one of the very early shows that Herschel popped in here was one of the Philip K. Dick shows we did where we played all those clips. I remember him making some comments about the great clips that we were playing there. But fire stuff. I'm going to shut my mouth. What else you got? Thank you for calling into the phone line. And what else you got for us?
The only thing, a cousin of mine, this is about consciousness. She had gotten into a very serious accident. She was about 6 months pregnant at the time, and she was in a coma, so she didn't know anything that was going on. But when she finally came to, she's like, "What the hell happened? How was my baby?" And we had to tell her, "Well, baby, it's babies." She goes, "I had babies." She goes, "You had twins." She goes, "You're kidding me." "Well, who took care of them?" I goes, "Well, actually, your brother did." She goes, "You're kidding. My brother's an idiot. You can't believe you let him take care of my babies." Well, what did he name them? She goes, "Well, you had a boy and a girl." "Well, what did he name them?" "Well, the girl he named Denise." "Oh, that's not bad." "Well, what did he name my son?" He goes, "The nephew." Sorry.
Of course. No, you're good. That's why we talk to each other, Daryl. Daryl bringing the levity, the official cosmic comic of Troubled Minds. Yeah, I don't know. This is a wild space. And let me ask you before you go, do you really think that there's a larger ritual in place here? For not just the solstice, the 250th birthday of Independence Day, which is a very alien theme thing in the modern times, the World Cup, all the stuff we've been talking about. Do you feel there's something in place here where it's not manufactured marketing wise, but where it's a larger cosmic conscious space? Do you think this is real? That becomes really the thing that sticks in my mind in this space, because I don't know. I can see all these threads, but what the hell does it all mean?
I think you have a point. I think everything is definitely mathematical or science. There's definitely a formula, and that we have measurements of 250 is incidental. It might be a different number in a different paradigm, but in ours, this is how we measure time. And these are monumental moments or increments, and we do have lots of rituals. We celebrate birthdays. We celebrate lots of things. We have holidays on certain days. So I think they're all, it's still a mathematical design. This happens every 365 days based on our measurement of time, which is based on the sun's rotations. It would be different on a different planet, obviously. Like, they're not going to be celebrating anything at a 250-year increment based on the time the sun, how many times they go around the sun, or vice versa, or whatever, whatever their rotations are. So I think it's based on where we are in relation to the universe is how we measure things. So I think our measurements Definitely. I mean, we couldn't bake a cake without one, right?
That's kind of true, except I think all of our grandmothers can probably bake a cake without them. A pinch of this, a pinch of that. Hey, enough wisdom and knowledge kind of can you can bake anything you want.
That's true. I never use measurements either, personally, when I cook. But yeah, that's true. That's true. But how we celebrate it, how we program, it's programming. Everything is programming. Maybe that's like somebody's, point is that we are living in a matrix or a computer program or, an artificial, Truman Show, perhaps, It's all programmed. We're all programmed. So our DNA is a program. So maybe it's all connected.
Exactly.
And all of this won't be paranormal when we figure it all out. It'll be normal.
Exactly. And I got a thing for you too. And shout out Dr. Courtney Brown. I brought this up a few times recently from Farsight when he was on the show. We were talking about disclosure and what that means. And he was like, disclosure of what, Mike? He's all, do you mean disclosure of aliens, the existence of aliens, the disclosure of like sort of psi powers that people have access to and have had access to that we don't really talk about or it's not allowed to be spoken of? And then I'm going to add to that what you just said. I think it's very smart here. The convergence event, imagine if disclosure itself is not about little green men at all. It's not about being alone in the universe. It's about the fact that we're actually living in a simulation. Imagine if that's the ultimate disclosure where you're talking about mathematics as sort of the backbone of everything, which I don't think anybody, like the most advanced mathematicians and cosmologists in the world, would probably describe that as accurate. And so in the same space, if that's true, then is disclosure itself really in the space of we're just living in a computer somewhere? I mean, like I've always said, my ego hates it, but also go ahead, get your take on that. But I got a final thought on that as well.
Oh no, continue. I was just agreeing with you. I agree.
Yeah.
My
okay.
ego hates it too.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing too, and like I've always said, my ego does hate it because it means that I'm not a sovereign entity, a sovereign consciousness. But what it does mean, which is super cool, is that entanglement still works because we're still on the same hard drive, right? We're still in the same sort of physical / digital space in whatever the terms of the largest supercomputer is that's running the thing. So, you know what I mean? Those entanglement spaces actually still work. And like I've always said too, that the way I cope with my ego hating the simulation theory is that, well, can't you just still try to be the best program you can be? And, like help people when you can and do good things. And, maybe there is enough A, B, C, D switches in choices within the algorithm that you can still become the best version of your algorithmic self. And so that's the way I see it. So I'm not deterred. I'm not scared about any of that stuff. And if it is or isn't true, it doesn't change one thing for me. I'm going to show up and I'm going to talk about wild ideas with amazing smart friends like yourself. And that's what this is all about. That's my thought on that. What you got?
I agree. I think maybe we're programmed with a little bit of, leniency either way to be the best or the worst, and let the dice fall. Let the cards play.
Amen.
Let the band go on.
the band plays on. Exactly right. And I agree. And that's why I think it's important to point out that regardless of the cosmology, if there's any level of actual free will involved, then, hey, do your best free will. Give it back to wherever we came from. If that's a true cosmos, if that's a never-ending universe like you described, or if it's like just a computer simulation, hey, give it your best. Give it your greasiest and see what happens. See if we can grease the wheels of the simulation itself.
Absolutely. Right on, Michael. Good message and great show.
You were the best and fantastic call. Appreciate you very much. Thank you, and we'll have a great night. Happy solstice to you. Happy Father's Day to your father, who I know has passed away, and it means a great deal to you. And shout out Michael Savage. You're the best, Daryl.
You too. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Michael Savage, by the way, is a broadcaster. Politics Society is a conservative broadcaster, but he was broadcasting in California for a long time and is a big inspiration of mine because when I was commuting in Cali, I'd listen to this guy on the way home or whatever. But he's a brilliant guy. And when I introduced Michael Savage to Daryl, she's like, he reminds me of my father. So I think it's appropriate. Shout out. Happy Father's Day. Happy solstice. Happy what the hell's going on? Is it possible there's a larger ritual in place where we actually, I don't know, are turning of the conscious mind to what comes next? I don't know what the answer is, but I do know there's a lot of great questions here. And that's why, like I said, I come back again and again and again, because it's not about really dialing down a particular answer. It's really looking at the world in slightly different ways and recognizing that much of it is the same. And a lot of it is up to you. Yeah, that's it. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, the number to call is 702-857-6939. The Discord is broken. I'm sorry about that. But also Claude was broken before the show. So if you like the write-up, it was made by Grok because I have backups with everything. And so that's it. Claude's down. Discord's half down. What the hell's going on? Daryl said it's not personal. It happened to her earlier. Discord's broke. Hey, it happens. Good thing is we have a phone number, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. It doesn't work tonight, really, but come join the Discord anyway. More coming up. We got Jen in Missouri. James says he's going to call as well, and your call's coming up. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. And my controller works again.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. Troubling new findings from the Harvard Business Review suggest that companies racing to adopt generative AI may be quietly hollowing out their own institutional knowledge. Researchers are calling it knowledge decay, a process where workers increasingly outsource critical thinking to AI tools, gradually eroding the skills, judgment, and organizational memory that businesses depend on to function. Errors compound, trust in internal processes collapses, and some companies have reportedly had to hire additional staff just to catch and correct AI-generated mistakes. Rather than saving time, the technology appears to be consuming it. The fallout isn't limited to data quality. Workers forced to adopt AI tools against their wishes are reportedly pushing back in significant numbers, with some employees actively sabotaging the systems. Meanwhile, AI-assisted hiring processes have created what the Harvard Business Review describes as all-time low levels of trust on both sides of the job interview. Business leaders are now facing the uncomfortable reality that deploying large language models indiscriminately may be doing more harm than good. On a quieter note, skywatchers have a rare treat this week. The summer solstice arrives Friday, June 20th, at 4:25 in the morning Eastern Time, marking the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. Shortly after sunset, observers looking west will find a stunning lineup across the sky: Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, the star Regulus, the first quarter moon, and the bright star Spica stretching across the evening sky in a single luminous arc. It is, by any measure, a good night to look up. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up, Bim Jim? Jen coming up. I see you in the chat there. Thanks for the call, Jen. We'll talk to you momentarily. Satya, Lakers Pod, welcome back. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. Like I said, Lily in Australia, like I said, it's a whirlwind of chaos, not just in my mind to speak coherently, but also to take calls and run the thing and watch the time. And like I said, usually it takes 3 people to do this properly. And it's just me pushing buttons and trying to, kind of hip shot things. Great chat from everybody. I appreciate it very much. 5x5 on Discord. What's up, Herschel? Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot here. There's a lot. And that's why we talk about this stuff in the way we do. It's not, and look, don't forget that you believe what you want. But there's no anything here of me trying to change your mind other than to look inward and ask yourself what matters most to you and react to that. That's it. That's what's up. Gordo, what's up? The Puff sighting. Good evening, Karen. I see you guys. Hope everybody's well tonight. Do we got all 4, 3 out of 4? What are we missing? We got Tartaria. What do we got? The meta game on Rumble. If you guys aren't on Rumble, you're doing yourselves a disservice. Go listen on Rumble as well. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. Who did I miss? Sorry about that. Like I said, if I miss anybody, I promise you it's not personal. There's just a lot spinning through here, and time goes really fast when you're having wild conversations by dark of night. That's that. We're talking sun gods, star visitors, and of course the old sun and the new sun. Meet the old gods, the same as the new. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right now. Got Jen in Missouri coming up, and looks like James as well. And your calls. Here we go. Troubled Minds now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, happy summer solstice, happy Father's Day, happy disclosure moment, happy ritual binding of whatever comes next. Now look, me personally, you know me, my beliefs are always changing as I really collect more information and talk to more smart people and kind of look at the world differently. I think it's good. It's a good thing. Okay. But also remember, don't get consumed by any of this. Don't get consumed by anything. You can literally OD on anything. And that includes an idea. Okay. That includes like the idea of pure capitalism, for instance, or the idea of pure socialism, for instance. Okay. You get what I mean? Like there are binaries in so many conversations. And if you find yourself so stuck that you can't get out of one, it's got you. What is it? Exactly. And that's why we're here talking. It is this invisible force. It is this mind virus always trying to turn you into something that maybe you don't want to be. And so it's important to recognize all the things and all the places and talk about these things together. Because I don't know what I believe, to be honest. I do believe that people are incredible. You won't change my mind on that. Many other things, I'm still up in the air on. Let's talk about it. I'm calling this From Sun Gods to Star Visitors, New Gods of the Old Sun. Of course, that's just a circular statement, as you've recognized because you're very smart people. But what do you know about this? Is this ritual cement happening in the disclosure space? And what does it mean? What is disclosure? Disclosure of what? Are we supposed to believe this? You tell me. Discord is down. Kind of. Phone line is up. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Come say hi on Discord anyway. And next time it will actually be functional. If you want to be part of the conversation, you know what to do. Let's go to Jen in Missouri. Thanks for calling in, and thanks for being patient, and thanks for jumping through the hoops when things don't work. Hey, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great topic and everything. I think, has it ever happened before with society? Like, have we ever had a society where the entire world is united in a sort of communication the way that it is right now? I don't know that it ever has been. And so I don't know how we're basing it, but like, if you look at the world right now and you think about the instant communication we have just across this great expanse of the area that we're, of just across the earth as we know it. And it's incredible that the whole entire world, not at once, but could be in contact with each other in a consistent way, that they could make contact across vast expanses of land, and the control of information over vast populations from one center source through the technology we have now of different types of media, or even through just the conglomeration of tropes through like psychological tropes that are portrayed in movies or in books throughout time. And the way that operates is, I don't think it's ever been done before. So, I mean, if it has been, by what mechanism? So I think that just the sheer reach of information, ideas, what's going on here or there may have never happened before. And so it feels like we're coming to some kind of a pinnacle point because of this ease of communication. But then, too, there's just this sort of infusion of human experience into that, of what it means, what the experience is of being human or of looking at the world, just that way. And from all these different spaces and cultures and things like that. So I think that in itself is really incredible. We have a huge amassment of information from the past, such as like folklore and history and mathematics and sciences, that I'm not sure, it took a long time to get to that point, to get all the information, to realize those things. But should it be wiped out, who would tell them? Like, if the whole of the entire existence of life were to be just wiped out in an instant, would there be anyone to teach you how to do this or how to do that or how to solve this problem? Outside of technology, just like basic problems. If you had an entire race where only so many survived and you had just a handful that were left, what would they do? They would start at the very beginning. But then with that information, where would it be coming from? And so if you consider the idea that there's some type of memory imprint that's going on at the same time as sort of a fail-safe of information that can be tapped into. And many would say that that's exactly what has happened, that there have been instances sort of built into the system we live in that though everything could be forgotten, it could be found again through some sort of mechanism of non-biological intelligence. So if you have like erasing the capacity for mass biological memory, yet somehow it's contained somewhere that the information can be recouped. It could be visited upon again. And then tying that into how would that apply to, is the universe listening to us? Is it aware of us? Is there some, and a lot of science points to that the environment is a memory. It's taking in, not a memory, it's taking in memory. And that it's meant to be imprinted. They talked about lightning, for example. With lightning, when it strikes a particular part of a geological, like, a mountainside, that it sort of freezes the moment that the lightning struck it at that spot. And you can look this up. It is just so. And that's how a lot of geologists actually can define what time that stone is from. It's almost like it freezes it through some sort of mechanism of magnetism. And it has some sort of effect like that. And it contains the memory of that time, so you can look at it and kind of see what was going on then. And so we imagine that. What is the significance of the stars or of the sun or any prior sun before? But that it might contain the memory that can be sort of hacked into through some mechanism. And that would insinuate that there's some sort of connective tissue with this in some unseen medium that information is being transferred through. So in the past, I've talked about, I think it's possible that we had a different sun at one point in time, or that the planet was so alien that we ourselves were not what we are quite right now, that we descended out of possibly something that was not at all what we appear to be now as adaptation. But I guess you never really truly lose your compass. For example, with the North Star, and I'll be brief with this, but the pole star, and I've mentioned this over and over again, but because I think it matters somehow, and I can't figure out how. But we've been through many cycles of different pole stars. There have been, so where we have Polaris right now, there have been previous pole stars in that same location, and it lasts for thousands of years. Thousands of years. And, for example, the Egyptians were likely under an entirely different pole star under the sky. And so society was sort of shifted in that way. The memory is contained in it, but it's a cycle, so it goes, eventually comes around again. And in concepts of the idea that this is say not the Earth itself, but the universe is expanding out without end, till eventually it does. And that could be billions of years, say, 124 billion years, or something like that. An insane number, a ridiculous number, that has existed that long, and then it's going to exist so much longer into the future. But it's like it's gathering all of that information, and what for? I mean, say that you have another 34 billion years of information being gathered, and then, according to Einstein, should it collapse under the weight of its own mass, all this expansion and all this information into a singular point, which it would be destined to do, it would contain all of the information and all of the memory in the medium of what our universe is mostly made of. And so it would, but to give it to who or for what? And that's the disclosure. Do they know something?
I love it.
Because we've been building information for a long time. And the sciences would know these things. They've picked it apart, and they could be completely off track. But hypothetically, if they have worked all this time towards this information, it would insinuate that they are wanting to, what for? It's not just the meaning of life, because that wouldn't matter at that point. It's as if it's just I have no idea. Like, would it just continue on? They do it. It's just, that's where it stops, as far as like trying to figure out why is it designed the way that it is, and that memory can be transferred through certain mediums and can be accessed somehow through this intelligence that humanity seems to contain, where it goes upon different layers,
Yeah, and preserved, by the way. So this intelligence can be preserved. Even Hawking famously talked about Hawking radiation, that even a black hole and the singularity of a black hole still leaks through Hawking radiation information back out into the space that is supposedly not really allowed to get that information back. So the question you're asking is incredibly pertinent, I think, to this conversation. Obviously, very smart, as always, slaying it. The meaning of life itself is insignificant to the meaning of existence, the larger existence of everything, because we are just, a pinprick in the larger cosmos of all these trillion stars out there. But also beyond that, what does any of it mean? And I mean, I think the obvious thing is humans need to decide for ourselves what it means. But beyond that, the largest question you're asking, I think, is the most pertinent one when it comes to the cosmos is, where does all this information go at the end? We're told the heat death, right? We're told the snapback of the Big Bang, and it all starts all over again 10 trillion years from now or something. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think we are our own event horizon, though. I think that our moment here is its own sort of incredible significance and valuable to whatever the whole point is, and that information is never, ever forgotten. And I mean never, ever, because it wouldn't be. So whatever you do here while you're existing, it's not insignificant. And that's proven by, how we can look back and see the significance through every mineral and things we can't even see. We can see it, we just can't look at it all. It's like trying to look at the stars. It's impossible. But something does. Something is recording all of that. Now, we don't know what that is, but something is keeping perfect track of everything because it's existing, and the memory of it is holding to replicate itself again. But it does that based off of what it knows from before. So we are our own event horizon in a way, but it's easy to not think that way, and you can't think that way all the time because, you just can't.
Yeah, because you become an egomaniac. You're like, yeah, I'm what's the guy's name from
what's the point?
Cthulhu mythos? I'm a black hole, bitches. Watch me roll.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And it won't work either because everyone is. Yeah.
Exactly. And we have problems. But it's an information space that we share too. So I think in that same sense, I love the analogy there, but I think in the same sense, we're also part of the same singularity as part of that, past the event horizon of the human space. Yeah. Otherwise, what are we sharing at all? Like if we're all our own singularities, then we can't share anything. But if we share one or entangle otherwise, here we are talking by dark of night. You're on that side of the country. I'm on this side of the country. And we're just using technology to kind of do the same thing. It's wild stuff.
Yeah. I think that's really special right now. That's even possible,
Amen.
Not as a possibility, but like it's a certainty. So, anyway, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And have a great night. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate the call. You are the best. Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer, please go give her a follow on all the places. You know what to do. Scroll down, troubleminds.org/friends. Right there. Sorry about that. I didn't mention Daryl because we were at the end of the commercial there, but also follow Daryl. Follow Jen. It's all alphabetical right there. Den and Daryl and Jen. Den and Gerald. Daryl and Jen are very close because alphabetically. Thank you for the call, Jen. Please give her a follow. She's actually got a new series coming out and just dropped a recent video. So please go check out her actual YouTube channel. Go give her a follow. It's right there. It says follow Jennifer. Please do that. Go check out her YouTube channel and also Daryl while you're down there. And look, this is the point. Like I said, looking at things differently, but also similarly, you see what kind of magic kind of comes out of a conversation. And you could even say that, like, you know what, Mike, this is just, human nonsense. It's all narratives. And I would say maybe, yeah, I feel that. I'm always talking about that, but it doesn't mean it's meaningless. You get it? And so the question really becomes, as part of this entire arc of the entire Troubled Minds conversation, the great conversation, is what is meaning? What does it mean to you? Appreciate it very much. Thanks for the call, Jen. I love it. We're all a singularity. We're all our own singularity. That's a t-shirt. Please go give her a follow, the Arcane Observer. Search it on YouTube, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It's alphabetical. Follow Jennifer here. I love to hear your thoughts. We're talking ritual disclosure. It's the summer solstice. Happy Father's Day. What kind of wild weirdness is going on? It feels to me like there's a sea change of humanity. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why we're going to talk about it. By the way, my entire premise of being here is I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Get over it. So I'm wrong. Look, I get it that, like, if you make an emphatic claim and you swear you're right, everybody's just, they're so into that. They want to be convinced. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to make you recognize that everybody's trying to convince you. That's all. Little old me. Don't worry about little old me. I'm going to just keep doing me. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thanks for being patient, friends. I believe this is James Salcedo, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Thanks for calling in. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I'm glad to be here. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Thanks for being patient. You were on the thing. I got message loud and clear. You said I'm on the line. No hurry, Mike. Appreciate that. What do you got? There's a ton here, man. We've talked about a lot tonight philosophically. It's dense. It's deep. It's interesting. It's wild. And I love all of that. What do you got for us?
Yeah, great call so far all night. Always happy to hear Jen as well. Yeah, just so many great points there. There was something that came to mind earlier tonight while I was over on Ricky's channel. Anything is possible, and it was something I've already thought about before, but now with this show, I'm thinking about it in a different way, and that is the fact that, at least the way it seems like, I don't know, I said fact. It seems like no amount of proof when it comes to aliens or UFOs or ghosts or whatever will ever be enough for everyone. And so, if that's the case, then what is the point of this disclosure thing? Are they just hoping to Is it going to be enough to get most people thinking the certain way that the people behind it want us to think? Or is it that idea about data, about information, and a possible simulation type of an existence? And like I said before, I don't like it, but also if you look into reports of experiences, people have seen odd things that point to a possible simulation. Grid lines in the sky that almost look like the sky is broken, like literally the color is not right, and they see grid lines in it. Objects or people or animals frozen, motionless, not frozen in ice, but frozen as in not moving at all for any amount of time. So there are these things that happen that seem to possibly indicate this. So I'm really fascinated by the idea that maybe the whole disclosure thing is not so much about aliens, so to speak. It's about something else, like a simulation theory.
Yeah, imagine how wild that is, by the way. So everybody says that the stock market will collapse. Everybody will run out of the streets screaming. If the disclosure event happens, and let's go with the trope that the aliens land on the White House lawn during a UFC event, and they all come out and they're there's like a full on actual news coverage event of like something like that that we're supposed to believe that society will collapse because we're so egotistical that we believe collectively that we're alone in the universe. Like, I've never bought that. I don't think that's real. I think some people will freak out. I think in a fractured society, as much as we have with the mass media we always talk about, I think there will be, therapists will be in high demand, and Claude also, but I digress there. Claude's down tonight, but at least for me. But you get what I mean. I think imagine instead of that, if there was an actual true 100% disclosure, no doubt, proof is in the pudding. Here is the actual deets. Undeniable that we live in a simulation. I think the world would crack way harder and way faster than if aliens landed on the White House lawn. And so redefining what disclosure means of what true reality is, I think is that paramount question, the fundamental question that Jen was asking as well. A human lifetime is one thing, and we've seen lots of those collectively, historically, here on Earth. But beyond that, there's a larger question here. There's a larger ask. And so that it becomes what? And that's what I mean. I think, like I said, Dr. Courtney Brown of Farsight changed my mind on that, because he said it straight. Go listen to that. It's on the podcast feed. Very smart man. Glad we hooked up with him. Shout out Rohan, by the way. Our good friend, the mighty Rohan, rest in peace, was the one who set all that up. Like I had not reached out to Dr. Courtney Brown at all, but Rohan did that. So look, there's a lot in play as usual. And Courtney Brown said to me, disclosure of what, Mike? And I think you should ask yourself the same question. Fire stuff, James. What else you got?
Well, that's the thing. Think of all the fiction around aliens versus all the fiction out there, all the movies, TV shows, books, whatever, around the idea of a simulation, or around the idea of power, psychic powers of the mind. I'm guessing that if we were to try to look that up, the alien bar on that graph would be a good bit higher than anything else, any of those other things. And so I do wonder about this. And I think I've been thinking maybe the only way that we ever get any kind of enlightened age or golden age or whatever is if we all get to the point where we can all agree to disagree on things on just a societal, global level. Because again, even with any kind of proof, that any kind of disclosure that happens, I don't think it's going to, everyone is going to accept it. Because I don't think, everyone's going to have their sort of idea of what that proof should be. and then that can change over time depending on what they experience or information they take in. Speaking of information, so I'm really curious about, again, makes me really curious now all over again in a way about this whole disclosure thing and what's going on, what's driving it, and where it's going to end at some point. I kind of hope it does end someday, because my gosh, all this news over the last several years, I mean, really it's been decades, but now it's because of, again, all that technology. It's just everywhere all the time if you look for it. So I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, well said, all that. And shout out Bim Jim in the chat earlier said that we've been doing, quote, science for 400 years. We're like, we are like nothing compared to what an alien intelligence might be. Literally nothing. Like we are, the term I like to use is toes in the ocean. Because when you talk about all the things that we're still befuddle us scientifically, entanglement, this type of stuff, the connecting the quantum realm with the macro realm, and seeing how they exist in the same space and yet it reacts incredibly differently. I don't know, man. Like we're nothing. We still have no idea what the hell's going on. If we can't teleport like Star Trek and communicate faster than the speed of light with tachyons and subspace, well, I think we're probably not going to get the attention of any aliens out there, or any simulation theory that maybe. How about this? Now add this to the list. Imagine if that disclosure is a simulation theory, okay, and we recognize we're in the space, we're in a subspace, or we're in a supercomputer of sorts, and then actually being able to recognize and detect the information from within the system, that makes us smart enough to recognize there's something outside of the system controlling us, controlling the entire thing. So I don't know. I mean, as usual, this stuff is complicated. And look, one of the things, you can say anything you want about me, but one of the things you can't say is that Mike's not afraid of, or what you couldn't say is Mike's afraid of the unknown. No, hell no. That's why I'm here. Let's talk about the unknown. Let's talk about the unseen realm. Let's talk about the things we don't know. Let's talk about what disclosure means. Let's talk about what it means to be human and what the coming years and days and months bring. James, what else you got? We got a call behind you. We got to get to, but I don't want to rush you, because I know you've been, like I said, Johnny on the spot. You were over there with Ricky. Tried to jump in here on Discord. I apologize for that. I don't know. Everything's breaking, but glad to have you here. Thank you for the call. And go ahead. Like I said, not going to rush you. Just to let you know, we're going to go a little long to get the call in behind you, and then we'll wrap this up.
I'm just wondering, real quick, sort of end this, because you and Jen were talking about memory and how it works and how long it lasts and all that. And I've heard so many sort of debates on that, and I'm really curious if that means that information does still exist outside of the physical body, and that's why maybe memories aren't always the same for people over time, or is the answer that it is always around, and there's just still a lot of debate about that? And that's just a question I have in general for so maybe to look into at some point, because I don't know. I've just heard so many different things, but yeah, no, I'll head out. Thank you for having me on as always.
You're the best. Appreciate you very much. And yes, don't be afraid of those biggest questions. Just don't get so lost in them that you lose yourself. Being human is very important. It's important. And I know, it sort of gets washed out in the larger context of information, but it may be the most important thing. So just remember your sovereignty as an individual, your ability to contradict yourself and still exist in a world that's complicated. And then also to recognize that the light of consciousness is certainly here within us, and it's not to be taken lightly. And that's why I'm here. That's why I have these conversations. That's why it's so woo. Like, we are so post disclosure world in our mindset. Shout out UFO Jesus, that to us, we're like simulation theory. We're talking about psi abilities. We're talking about all these other things of what disclosure of what? Yeah. Who else is talking about that? Yeah. You bet your bippy. Not a lot of people. James, you're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for jumping through the hoops. Thanks for trying the Discord and failing and still being able to call in and stuff. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for calling. I got you noted, so now when you call in next time, I'll know it's you. And appreciate you. You're the best. You know what to do. Follow him. SalsidoParanormal.com. SALSIDO Paranormal.com. Go check out his stuff. Buy his books. Follow his podcast. Check out the website. Bookmark that thing. Go listen to his podcast. All the stuff. James, a pleasure. Appreciate you, my man.
Thank you. Take care.
You're the best. You know him, you love him. That's the point. Let's talk to each other. And look, you recognize too that when you talk to each other, I can't say directly outside of an agenda, because my agenda is to sort of break down institutions in our mind. So there's an agenda there. It's there. But also, I don't measure it by changing anybody's belief systems. I don't measure it by anything other than the value of the conversation. You get it? I think it's important, like I've always said, to measure ourselves against the spaces of and facing our own mythologies, because we're not supposed to question those. And welcome to it. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Come say hi. Discord's broken, but the phone line's working. What's up? You're on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Mystery caller on line 1. How are you? Test 1 2. Mystery caller on line 1. You're on Troubled Minds. Are you there? Test. I hear me. I don't hear you. You were on the line for a minute, so you probably hear me. Unmute, maybe? I don't know. And the phone line works. We've taken several calls tonight. All right, I'm going to keep talking, and if you got anything, if whatever happens, or call back. If it's possible it's a bad connection because it is an actual phone line. So if you want to drop the call, come right back. I'll go straight to you. Okay, just FYI. So if you want to do that, I'm not like I said. There's no shenanigans here. There's no favoritism. We're all knights of the round table, of the fractal round table. And so that's what this is all about. So, so I'm going to just keep on talking and finish this up. And if you call back and I'll literally drop the one and then go right back to you. Look, regarding this and this whole trickster summer situation, I think there's too many threads, right? Too many puppies. Anybody a Primus fan? Too many puppies. Too many threads. And so I think it's possible to create a narrative in that space of the mind space through advertising. But beyond that, I think there's also the aspect of this noosphere or the zeitgeist itself kind of clapping back as well. So it's one thing to market. It's another thing to have maybe the cosmos clap back to a marketing space. And that's what I feel like is happening right now with not just the disclosure. Look, we talk about the summer of saucers every year. But in this particular instance, there's so many convergences of energies. Again, July 4th, 250th. Yeah, it's coming. Strap in. Shout out Ioxy's like, come experience it. All the fireworks are popping right now. Beyond that, remember, Independence Day is forever associated in the modern mind with disclosure, with an alien invasion. Also, shout out Rivers shared a World Cup story, and we may get to this the next time, the next show we do, where there's supposed to be some sort of actual alien mass abduction event during a World Cup game or something like, or maybe it morphed from the one thing, it was a Baba Yaga thing to morph to another Baba Vanga thing. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that the information flowing through the space of marketing is so much. And there's no doubt about that. Billions to be made, trillions of dollars, even, as I can see in my mind's eye of the down funnel effect of what this marketing game means. But beyond that, it feels as if there's a synchronicity happening, a large one, a very big one, an unignorable sync. And that's the point. That's why I think this is, like I said, I called this the synchronicity event of the summer. And shout out, it's not just me, it's so many friends. Shout out Jen with the she sniffed out the sentient plasma before we did, before we were talking about this tonight, and over the last several shows and even weeks. That's the point. It's like, hey, look, we're sort of looking in the same mind space and recognizing that there's some things happening that are weird, right? Weird. Caller on line 1, are you there? Test 1 2. I don't want to hang up on you, but you've been on there for a minute and nothing's happening. So you want to call back? Call back. It is possible that it just dropped you and you are not even there at all, which makes sense. But you get my point. There's a lot of things in play here, and I want to encourage you as look. And this is the thing too. When I'm preaching, when I preach like this, when I say I'd like to encourage you too, I'm not actually saying that to you. I'm saying that to myself. I'm reminding myself of what's happening. Okay. And then just saying it aloud to you. Okay. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a, the wave your arms guy and, buy the book and do the things. Okay. And I'm not even denigrating that. I'm just saying that when it feels like I'm preaching, I'm just reminding myself of something out loud, talking to myself out loud. Like I said, a crazy person in the corner saying these things is like a crazy person in the corner. But when you say these things out loud and people listen, well, it validates the crazy in the corner, right? So, but also I'm not crazy. I promise you that. In any case, look, I don't know. I do know it's important to be human. It's important to recognize all of the things, the fractured ideas that are trying to pull your mind space and convince you of something that may or may not be true. That's all. That's all. That's it. Exactly. There you go. TroubledMinds.org support. Thank you for that, sweets. Do the thing too, right? There you go. Is that help? No, help support. Oh, sorry about that. My bad. All the things are there. Look, and by the way, too, if this is all too much, these ideas are all just too much, and you do need a helping hand in a moment, go to TroubledMinds.org/help in loving memory of our good friend Rohan. Paul is his real name. But the mighty Rohan, we lost him to suicide. Hey, you're valued. All the stuff is there. Okay, all the phone numbers are there. Please, just as a reminder, being human is important, and being here, sharing ideas, is important. And even if you feel insignificant or alone, as Jen said earlier, very smartly, the internet has made a lot of those things moot. That's that. Look, I don't know. I'm going to keep watching this. We're going to keep watching this. What's going on in the larger space of not just disclosure, but the question becomes disclosure of what? So I'm sorry about that. Whoever's on the phone line, I hung up on you. If you want, call back and I'll make some time. But yeah, it's yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Lily. Yep. Indeed. It's real. All that's real. And so it's tough. It's a tough world to live in because people are, many people need things they don't have. And so as part of the conversation, the larger conversation we have, it's important to recognize that everything is not as easy as it seems. That's all. TroubledMinds.org/help if you need help in a pinch. And I've had people reach out to me and say that they needed it and they knew where to go because I've said it several times and went to there and called the thing and saved themselves in a moment. So they've actually thanked me in that regard. So, and look, I'm not doing it for accolades. I'm doing it to legitimately help. That's it. Look, I don't know. In the end of things, well, thank God it's not the end of things. Let's say that. But in the beginning of the things, the conversation, the ideas, the philosophy, the cosmos itself, there's something happening here. But of course, we're conscious entities, sovereign conscious entities. So if something wasn't happening, what the hell would be going on anyway? Pay attention. Honor yourself. honor the people that honor you. You'll see. There's something going on here. And I don't know what it is, but let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Let's consider what the hell is on the horizon. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the chat. Thanks for pinning all the things in all the places. Thanks to all the mods out there. Thanks for being cool and chill. Thanks for being nice to each other in the chat. Like I said, it means a lot to me that we've carved out a corner of the internet where we don't have to call people stupid or, disagree in an angular space and just be idiotic about talking to each other. Look, if you agree with 15% of what I say, I'm worried for you. I'm worried for you. If you don't, I mean, hey, look, I'm just throwing ideas at the wall. That's the point. Okay? So let's think about this. Remember about being a sovereign human. Remember about honoring yourself and those around you. Your family, of course. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Happy solstice. May the dreams come swiftly and easily and you not have a weird solstice moment. Like, I don't know. That's the point. And also recognize not just the whole aspect of, let's say, not understanding all the things, but also it's okay to say in a moment that I just don't know. I need more data. I need more information about myself. And one more day will give you that. So God willing, we all have one more day. If you want to help us help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends, you know what to do. Very simple. Scroll down. A lot of people made this show go. It's not just me. It's Troubled Minds, plural, for a reason. Click the friends link, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. Look at all these amazing people. It's a wall of people. If you appreciate what happens here, go follow them. You get it? You get it? You get it? Thank you for getting it. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to chase down their narratives. We're not going to talk about politics or other nonsensical BS that they want us to talk about. And we're going to consider what it means to be human in the most positive sense. Spread the word. That's it. Very simple. If you want to help us directly, troubledfans.com. But you can buy the hats and the shirts and stuff. All the stuff. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. And I mean this. Look, the thing is, too, like, there's a lot of, influencers out there that say a whole manner of things they don't mean. Rewind and go back years and years and years and find those things, those moments for me. Because I mean this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. And that was not think tanked. That was not put before some committee. That was not given to me by some other a-hole that said, Mike, you should say this at the end. It's part of my soul. You guys have a great night. Appreciate you very much. Where do I click the thing? Oh, I don't know. This thing? Maybe this will make it in the podcast. Maybe it won't.